Hi, I'm Tim. I'm an umpire from Cincinnati, Ohio, and I had a dream, and hopefully by the time the end of this year that dream should be completed, and that is to umpire a game in every state in the country. I started umpiring in 1997, doing slow pitch softball at Rumpke Ballpark, Cincinnati, Ohio. Umpired in a couple states, and my wife and I were at Cocoa Beach, Florida, walking along the beach and having a conversation like married couples do, and we typically discuss what things we'd like to plan in upcoming years, and we started talking about long-term dreams and accomplishments. And I said, well, one of the things I'd like to do as an umpire is travel to every state and umpire in every state. So that journey started in 2003, and it will conclude in July of 2018 in Hawaii. So beautiful place to fulfill that dream. I started out doing slow pitch softball in Cincinnati. I chose that because it was less expensive to get involved in that than it was fast pitch softball, and I wanted to see if I liked it well enough. I did. And then the next year I started purchasing equipment and studying to become a fast pitch umpire also. All these games have been done in connection with, it was ASA at that point, and it's now changed its name to USA Softball. So that or an affiliate of theirs. They provided classes. I went to a couple umpiring schools connected with them. Matter of fact, that's how I accomplished a few states. Drove from Ohio to Killeen, Texas to attend an advanced umpiring school there. And on my way, I stopped in Jackson, Mississippi and did a fast pitch league night there. Did the school in Killeen, Texas. We did some fast pitch games connected with that camp. And then on my way back, I did games in Texarkana and Shreveport, Louisiana, and then continued back to Cincinnati. So it worked out well that, you know, what we would try to do, my wife would travel with me sometimes, and sometimes I would just go by myself, but we try to set up in a 3-state area and potentially get games in 3 different states. I would contact the umpire-in-chief of that state or those states, let them know what my goal was and see if they could help me out with it. And most were very cooperative and let me know who I needed to contact to obtain games or obtain a tournament. And once connecting with them, some of the requirements that they may have. A letter from my umpiring chief in Cincinnati that I was in good standing, etc. And now here lately, you also have to prove that you know, you've passed all the background checks, etc. as far as working with youth. It's been very rare where I've only done one game. You know, I'll do an evening of games, league games in a place, or I'll do a whole tournament. In that case, most of the times, league games only have one umpire. So I'm going to start behind home plate anyway. But other places, there was a state down south, I can't remember which one specifically, their contract actually required 2 umpires to be on every game. That was even the T-ball level. So I did one game on the plate and then the next game on the bases. And that's typical if you're going to do more than one game, that you'll rotate positions. A lot of times in tournaments there'll be 3 umpires per field. So you start on the plate, after that game you change out, go to the bases, and then have a game off. It gives me the opportunity to see different parts of the country. It's amazing the differences between how softball's played, some of the league rules that, you know, that they tweak to make it a little bit more pertinent to their specific situation. You know, balls are a big issue. I know, and I believe it was in Shreveport, they actually had a league rule that if the pitcher threw the ball, that meant he agreed that it was legal. So you didn't have to, as an umpire, make sure that the balls came through you. In Cincinnati, on the other hand, the teams hit their own balls. So you always made sure it came through you, and it didn't come out of a cooler, and it wasn't altered in any manner. So you learn those different things. And having been in Cincinnati, we have a huge tournament called the Metro Tournament there. It's a huge slow pitch tournament, lasts 10 days, or did at that time. There'd be 3,000-4,000 people there at any one time to watch games on the 6 fields that were there. So we learned a lot there. Player management, how to handle situations, how to get through the crowd when the game was done. Fortunately, there they actually had police officers that would come to the field and escort us through the crowd to get back to the umpire room. Most of the times it wasn't necessary, but the crowd was large, so you were actually, walking, trying to fish your way through the crowd. A lot of other unique things. Being an umpire, getting to other parts of the country, working with other umpires is great. It is part of a huge family. I mentioned stopping in Jackson, Mississippi. The original time I was scheduled to do games there, on my way down to Killeen, Texas, the gentleman, I had just spoken to him on the phone, and he had asked to, we set up the games. Well, it rained. So he called up and said, games that night are canceled. What are you doing later tonight? I said, well, going back to my room and, probably going out to dinner. He said, well, why don't you come on out with my 12-year-old son and I and have dinner? So we met and went to a catfish place and ate catfish and traded stories about umpiring. So it was a very great experience. And then he made arrangements that on my way back through, I was able to stop there and do games heading back to Cincinnati. Well, any umpire, as far as the fans are concerned, you're only 50% right. And so that's something else I've learned as an umpire. Coaches want consistency, and you try to be consistent. Hopefully it's consistently good. But you'll blow a call, and you're in situations you really can't change it. If there is a partner, you do have some situations where you're actually able to confer with a partner. That partner can give you a different angle of what they saw. Maybe you were blocked, the ball dropped on the ground, and you didn't see it. So you call the runner out. Well, coach comes out and asks if you can ask for help. Go to your partner, and that partner was on the other side and clearly saw the ball on the ground. Well, then I have the opportunity to reverse the call. In other situations, you've blown it. There's no opportunity to talk to anybody else, and you just say, Coach, you and I both know I blew it. I can't fix it. Sorry. I'll do better. Also, the benefit to having a home field or home complex. There was a tournament in Cincinnati. I was on the bases, and this player slid into second base, and it was a very close play, and I come up with safe. And the player stands up, brushes off his pants. I says, you need to go sit down. He said, well, you called me safe. I says, yes, you and I know I called you safe, but all the fans in the stands saw me call you out. Fortunately, he had me a lot that year and knew that that play was close and could have gone either way. He didn't argue, knew I was a fair umpire, did what the best I could. He went and sat down. So that was the benefit of being at the same area. Yeah. But other places, you're there for an inning or so, and all of a sudden the player says, "You're not from here, are you?" Well, no, I'm not. But why? Well, you get out from behind home plate, or you have a different accent, or you're in a different position than other umpires that are locally here that would be in. I was in California doing games there, and there was a play at second base. I was by myself. It was a slow pitch game. Ran out to make the call at second base, and I think I scared the second baseman. She looked up and says, "What are you doing here?" I said, "Well, this is where I'm supposed to be." So it's interesting. And then you also get with years of experience, you get the knowledge of, that runner's going to stop at first. I don't need to get all the way out to second base. So you can read the plays. And eventually, sometimes you get to second place, that player should have come and didn't. So then you tease them and say, well, next time I'm out here and you don't come, I'm going to call you out. So you do have the opportunity to tease around with the players a little bit in that, which also makes it good. But then, they're close games or situations, there's no teasing in this game. That's, be serious and take care of business. Sometimes a joke or teasing can help diffuse a situation also. So, like anything else, the more you do, the more experience you gain. Hopefully, the better you become at that job. Part of the other goals I had with umpiring is to umpire Division III, Division II, and Division I college, which I've done all three of those also. So this is the last of the big accomplishments I want to do as an umpire. My family's all going to come to Hawaii. I have a son who's 32, a daughter who's 28. The son's married. His wife and my two grandchildren will be out there, and my wife of 33 years will be there. So we'll all be involved in that game. They'll be probably the only game that there's fans there actually rooting for the umpire. And then after that day of games, we'll probably go out to dinner overlooking the ocean and enjoy the family. Hopefully some of the other umpires will come out with us too that evening, and that happens quite a bit in the travels after the games. Other umpires from other fields will all get together and go out to appetizers or something somewhere. I live in Gatlinburg, Tennessee now. Most of this has occurred as a resident of Cincinnati, and some of the guys in Cincinnati said, well, yes, you've umpired these many states, but how many are you welcome to come back to umpire? I think most of them would accept me back again. Decided when doing this goal as a souvenir, I would get a ball from each state. This one is actually from Brian Piccolo Park. It's in Florida. I had done a tournament. The number 18 there means it was the 18th state that I did. And this particular one, I worked with several umpires, so they've signed areas of the ball. And this was on 12/23 of 3. So one of the rare occasions you could actually umpire in December. Benefit of being in Florida. And then my children gave me the plastic cubes to keep the balls in. So I currently have 52. The 49 from the states that I've done, one from each of the first Division III, Division II, and Division I college games that I've done. And we'll be at number 50 here in July.